Kondosan.
Once upon a time, in a very beautiful country, there lived a kind king and queen that everyone loved. Their only wish was to have a daughter. One day, their wish came true, and their daughter came into the world. They organized a feast to celebrate the event. All the kings and queens of other kingdoms, all the townspeople, and the 12 fairies of the country were invited. As part of the celebration, everyone presented their gift to the newborn princess. When it was the fairies' turn, each of them made a wish using their magical wands. There were exactly 12 fairies.
May life bring you everlasting happiness.
Let your beauty be spoken of all across the lands.
Let this princess be a very clever girl.
Let her always be generous to our people.
Suddenly, the entire hall started to shake. As everyone watched in awe, there was a high-pitched sound. The wicked fairy was the 13th fairy. They especially hadn't invited her to the party. Furious, the wicked fairy approached the crib and pushed aside the 12th good fairy that still hadn't made her wish.
So, I'm the only one that wasn't invited, I see. Well, even if I wasn't invited, I also have a wonderful gift for the princess. On her 16th birthday, the princess will prick her finger on a needle and die.
Staring at the wicked fairy, the king and queen begged the good fairy to do something. Please, do whatever it takes to break this curse, good fairy.
Unfortunately, my queen, I cannot remove the curse that the wicked fairy has cast, but I can at least lighten it. When the princess pricks her finger with the needle, she won't die. She will sleep for 100 years. She will only be awakened with the kiss of a prince. That's all I can do.
The king immediately prohibited the use of needles and had them removed from his kingdom. He ordered his guards to watch over the princess until she grew up. The good fairy's wishes had come true. The princess turned out to be a beautiful, well-mannered young girl. In the palace, she could only wander around the garden with the fairies. Her father always watched over her. On the day of her 16th birthday, the princess was locked up in a room to stop the curse from happening. Everyone was very anxious. If nothing happened until sunset, the curse would be lifted. The princess was bored and wanted to open the window to catch some fresh air. Outside, the weather was beautiful. As she opened the window, she saw a raven with a little box in its beak. The bird placed the box on the windowsill and flew away. It was such a beautifully decorated box that the princess couldn't resist her curiosity. She opened the box and saw a glowing diamond ring. She thought it was a birthday gift from the fairies, so she put it on her finger. But a little needle was hidden underneath the diamond. So, when the needle pricked her, the princess fell into her 100-year slumber. The bird that had brought the box to the princess was the raven of the wicked fairy. When they couldn't hear any sound from the princess's room for some time, the king became anxious and went to check on her.
My girl, you haven't said anything. Open the doors so I can see you. Be patient. There's only 2 hours left until sundown and the curse will be broken.
The king couldn't get a reply, so he unlocked the door and entered the room. To his surprise, he found his daughter lying on the floor.
My queen! Guards! Run! My princess has fallen asleep! It's a disaster! A disaster!
When they saw the ring on the princess's finger, the upset king and queen immediately realized what had happened. The wicked fairy had tricked the princess into pricking her own finger, fulfilling the curse.
Good fairy, do something, please! Either awake her or let us all sleep and awake with her. We can start our lives again when she wakes up in 100 years. How can we live without her?
To cast this spell, we have only till sunset. We have little time, but I'll do it. First, let's get the princess into a beautiful bed.
They immediately carried her to her room. They laid her in a bed covered with flowers in her most beautiful gown. The king and queen sat in their thrones. The servants waited where they stood. The birds, cats, and dogs. Everyone was ready, and the good fairy cast her most powerful spell yet.
Let everyone in the palace fall asleep along with the princess and awake with her.
With a wave of her hand, everyone in the palace fell asleep. The palace was to be known as the Palace of Sleeping Beauty from then on. As years passed, the palace was covered with thorns and vines. No one could enter anymore. Many years passed. One day, as the prince was wandering around with his soldiers, he noticed the palace covered in vines.
There it is. This must be Sleeping Beauty's castle, the one my mom always told me about when I was younger. Look, it is completely covered with vines.
He took out his sword at once and started cutting down the vines. He fought his way through and made it to the door of the castle. When he entered, he was speechless by what he saw. The king and queen in their thrones and the people of the palace all sleeping in some place. They were all lying still. He started wandering through all the rooms of the palace, trying to find the princess.
I'm going to find you, beautiful princess. I'll save you. I will lift the curse.
The prince was frantic, running around trying to find the princess's room. Finally, he came across a magnificent door in the tower. He opened it slowly and found the incredibly beautiful princess asleep on a bed of flowers.
My goodness, how beautiful she is. It's as if she fell asleep yesterday. Her flowers still smell wonderful.
The prince couldn't bear to see the princess sleeping like an angel, so he gave her a kiss on the cheek. At that moment, the princess woke up. When she saw the handsome prince standing before her, she asked,
What happened? Am I still dreaming?
No, my princess, you aren't dreaming any longer. The curse has been broken. Please, give me your hand. Let me help you get up from this bed.
The princess gave her hand to the prince and got up. When the curse was broken, everyone woke up from their sleep. The king, queen, servants, cats, dogs, and flowers in the garden all came to life again. There was nothing left of the vines and thorns. The king and queen ran to their daughter's room in excitement.
Good heavens, what a beautiful day! I'm so happy. My daughter and the whole palace have awoken from their sleep.
They hugged joyfully. prince promptly kneeled before the king.
My king, I would like to marry your daughter. With your permission, may I ask for a hand in marriage?
My dear prince, we are so very happy. I would be honored if you were my groom.
My dear princess, I've waited for this moment my whole life. Will you marry me?
Yes! You are the prince I have seen in my dreams.
They invited all the fairies and got married with a magnificent wedding. They lived happily ever after. And what happened to the wicked fairy? After she found out what was going to happen to her, she escaped to a faraway land. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived the Darling family. Their oldest child was Wendy, and their sons were John and Michael. One night, their parents went out for a stroll in town. The children, who were home alone, had a great time playing games together. When they got tired and sleepy, their sister started telling them the story about Peter Pan.
Once upon a time, in far, faraway secret lands, there lived a child called Peter Pan.
They all fell asleep. Later on, Wendy woke up to a sound coming from the window. And what did she see? There was a child and a flying fairy in front of her. They were sitting on the windowsill, laughing at her.
Good evening! My name is Peter Pan. I'm the hero of the story you told your brothers. Even though you missed a few details, it was still a wonderful story.
And my name is Tinkerbell, but you can also call me Rattle. You can use whichever one you prefer. As you can see, I'm a little fairy girl.
Wow! So you're real! I'm very pleased to meet you.
Of course we're real, but we live in the secret country.
We're very close friends with Peter Pan. We've known each other for a long time. I have an idea. Peter Pan, let's take the children and go back to our country. What do you say?
Oh, what an adventure it would be! I love adventures. But you can fly, and us? Well, we don't have wings, and we can't fly.
Don't worry about that. Once I sprinkle some fairy dust on you, you'll be able to fly just like us. Wendy, who wanted to go on this adventure, woke her brothers up right away. John and Michael, who saw Peter Pan before them, were incredibly surprised.
Yes, I was also shocked when I saw them, kids. But Peter Pan and Tinkerbell from the story are real, and they are inviting us to their secret country.
What? A secret country? Where is it hidden? How can we get there? We have to go.
Let's go, sis. Please, please.
Come on, let's go. Wendy accepted joyfully. The minute Tinkerbell sprinkled fairy dust on the kids, they started hovering in the air. Shocked, all together they started flying out the window.
Woohoo! Cool! Look, John, we're flying!
Come on, we have a long way to go. After a long journey, they arrived at the secret country. In this country lived wild animals, Indians, fairies, and lost children. But also very dangerous pirates. The head of the pirates was Captain Hook. Captain Hook was Peter Pan's greatest enemy. The reason for this animosity was because of something that happened in the past. One day, Captain Hook had captured the princess of the Indians. In order to save this princess, Peter Pan fought Captain Hook. He cut one of his hands with a sword, and his hand fell into the sea. A crocodile ate it along with his wristwatch. Now the crocodile swam around making a tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock sound. So the crocodile was called Tick-Tock. To replace his missing hand, they replaced it with a hook, and that's how he became known as Captain Hook. Peter Pan and the children went to Peter Pan's house without being seen by Captain Hook. The captain always spied on everyone in the secret country using his telescope, so they were careful and hid on the way. There were exactly 3 lost children in Peter Pan's home. They were also children that had been captured by Captain Hook and saved by Peter Pan. Right away they surrounded Wendy.
Welcome. So does this mean that we're going to eat delicious food every day?
Do I have to do all the cooking just because I'm a girl?
But we...
Never mind. You're lucky I like cooking. Of course I'll do it. And I'll also tell you stories at night before you go to sleep.
Hooray!
Yippee! The children hugged Wendy happily. Wendy acted like their mother. She cooked delicious food, baked cakes, and told them stories before bedtime. They became really good friends with Peter Pan. They walked together in the forest and got to know each other better. But Tinker Bell was not so happy about this new friendship. She thought that Peter Pan had forgotten her and that he was neglecting her, so she was starting to get sick of Wendy. Wendy must go back home. Peter Pan is my friend. I'm the one that found him in the Lost Forest and brought him to our secret country. Now he spends time with Wendy instead of me. I need to find a solution to this. However, Wendy had no idea about this. Her only thought was to help everyone in the secret country. One day, while Peter Pan and Wendy were chatting, sitting on a rock in the secret country, Captain Hook was spying on them with his telescope.
Right there, it's Peter Pan! Quick!
Everyone ran around the ship, firing, trying to shoot Peter Pan.
You idiots! Ah! Not me! You need to shoot Peter Pan!
Tinkerbell, take Wendy somewhere safe. I'm going to the pirate ship. This time it'll be your end, Mr. Hook.
Come on, Wendy, quick! Tinkerbell immediately made a plan and left Wendy on top of a cloud. She then went straight down next to the children. Hey kids, Peter Pan said there was a large bird on top of the clouds and that we should shoot it. At once, the children took their bows and shot their arrows towards the clouds. Meanwhile, Peter Pan was dealing with Captain Hook on the deck of the ship.
You want a hook on your other arm, Captain? If you have the courage, we should sword fight. I'm waiting for you on the beach. You'll come if you're not scared.
Peter Pan flew off to the beach and the ship approached the shore. Finally, these two enemies started to sword fight. A little while later, Captain Hook heard a familiar sound from behind him. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The minute he heard the sound, he turned around in panic and saw Tick-tock coming towards him. Throwing his sword into the air, he ran as fast as he could onto the ship.
Mummy! Mummy!
Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha!
Peter Pan laughed loudly at Captain Hook. All of a sudden, he thought of Wendy. He went straight to Wendy to see how she was doing. And to his terrifying surprise, he found Wendy lying on the floor with an arrow in her chest. Peter Pan was very upset and also completely terrified. He thought that it was his fault of what had happened to Wendy.
Tinkerbell, kids, what's happened here?
Tinkerbell told us to shoot the bird in the clouds. She said that you had asked us to. So we shot at the clouds. But it wasn't the bird, it was Wendy.
All the kids were very sad and were crying.
Tinkerbell, you lied to us.
Peter Pan bent over and took the arrow out of her chest.
But there's no blood on this arrow.
The arrow had hit the button of Wendy's vest and hadn't pierced her chest. Peter Pan suddenly realized that she had only fainted from the shock of the impact and had fallen to the ground.
Wendy! Wendy! Come on, wake up!
Wendy, who had opened her eyes and stood up, made everyone happy. All of them hugged her with joy. They all returned home together. Tinkerbell was watching everything that was going on from the top of the fairy tree. She was so ashamed at what she had done. She went to Peter Pan's house and apologized from everyone.
I'm so sorry. I apologize from all of you, especially from you, Wendy. Will you be able to forgive me? I did it because I got jealous of your friendship. I'm so ashamed.
I owe you my life, Tinker. No one can ever take your place. We'll always be together, but what you have done is very wrong. Tonight, I want you to go to the fairy tree and think about what you've done.
Wendy forgave Tinkerbell. But since Peter Pan had told her to leave, Tinkerbell returned to the fairy tree.
Everyone is really tired today. Come on, kids, time to sleep. But first, time for a story.
Wendy told the children the story about 3 children who went to a secret country. She was telling them the story about themselves. Her brothers wanted to go back home. They really missed their mother and father. Wendy called out to the lost children.
We're going to go back home. Would you like to come with us too?
Come with you? To your real home? Hooray!
I can't believe it. We're going to have a real home.
Peter, why don't you come with us too? You can live with us if you like.
No way! One day you're all going to grow up and get old. But me, I want to stay as a child forever.
The next day, Tinkerbell sprinkled fairy dust on everyone. Just as Wendy and the children started to fly, Captain Hook, who had been spying on them with his telescope, managed to capture them. Watching everything that was going on, Tinkerbell immediately went to Peter Pan and told him what had happened.
Peter Pan, hurry! Everyone's been captured. Save them!
What? Our friends have been captured? Enough of this, Captain. Your end has come. This time, I'm going to make you crock food.
At once, he flew onto the ship. Seeing Peter Pan, the children yelled joyfully.
It's Peter Pan! Hooray!
We're saved.
The captain immediately attacked Peter Pan with a sword. They both started sword fighting again. They fought for a long time, and suddenly Peter Pan heard tick-tock sound again. Not wanting to miss this opportunity, with all his strength, he struck the captain and pushed him into the sea. Seeing that Captain Hook had fallen into the sea, Tick-Tock quickly swam towards him. All of Hook's men who realized that they had lost also jumped into the sea.
Mummy! Mummy! You treacherous captain, run away! You now know what it means to capture my friends.
Now everyone in the secret country was free from the pirates. Now they also had a ship. Peter Pan immediately untied and freed the children. They celebrated this victory by touring around with the ship. Peter Pan was now captain.
Yes, it's time to go home now.
I will make sure you all get home safely.
Hooray!
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 Thank you so much for everything, Peter Pan. I will never forget you.
I won't forget you either, Wendy. Please understand me. I can't live there.
Peter Pan was actually very sad that he was going to part from Wendy and the children. It was good that Tinker Bell was always going to be with him.
Can we come visit you, Wendy?
Of course, whenever you want, Tinker.
They parted hugging one another. For the last time, they all flew home, and their family greeted them happily. Wendy, John, Michael, we've missed you. Where have you been? Who are these 3 children?
They are the lost children, Mother. We've just come back from the secret country together.
Secret country? Wendy told her family everything that had happened to them. Her mother and father were shocked but incredibly happy to be reunited with their children again. As Wendy looked out of the window, Peter Pan and Tinker Bell were already long gone. They had disappeared. Wendy was still waving.
Peter Pan, until we meet with you again.
KONDOSAN!
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Rapunzel who lived in a small town. She had long blonde hair and a beautiful smile.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Good morning, Rapunzel.
While taking a morning stroll, Rapunzel heard one of her neighbors crying. She immediately went to see what was wrong.
What's wrong? Why are you crying?
Ah, Rapunzel, just take a look at this.
Oh. Your chickens, where are they?
They're gone. Last night, I fed and petted each one of them. Today, they're gone.
Are you sure you locked the coop? Maybe you forgot to lock it.
Rapunzel's neighbor extended her hand and showed her the broken padlock.
Who could have done this?
I wish I knew.
Come on then, let's go to the police.
Together they went to the police station. On the way, Rapunzel was trying to console her neighbor. Rapunzel noticed the shop that had just opened a few days back. The shop sold fresh eggs daily. She had never met the shop owner. At that moment, she got a glimpse of Avelia and assumed she was the owner.
Good luck with your new shop, dear neighbor.
Avelia saw Rapunzel and responded with a fake smile.
Good morning. Where are you rushing to?
My neighbor's chickens were stolen. Those chickens were her livelihood. We're going to the police.
Oh dear, what a pity.
Let us know if you see them, okay?
Of course. Don't you worry.
Rapunzel thanked her and continued on her way. Ophelia grinned wickedly, as she always did. When they arrived at the police station, they requested to speak to one of the detectives.
Hello, Rapunzel. What brings you here?
My neighbor's chickens got stolen.
I see.
I would send eggs to my grandchildren and sell the rest in the market. What am I going to do now?
Many people filed similar complaints today, so a lot of our officers were dispatched to the locations. You'll have to wait.
For how long?
I can't say for sure.
But we have to catch the thief and get the chickens back.
I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do right now.
What am I going to do?
Rapunzel realized that she had to take the matter into her own hands.
Don't worry, I'll help you. This looks perfect. I need to find that thief quickly.
Rapunzel began her investigation and hoped to find anything that would lead her to find the thief.
Find anything, child?
No. But wait a second.
Rapunzel found an earring on the ground. She took it in order to examine it closely.
The thief must have dropped this. At least we now know we're dealing with a woman.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to find out whom this earring belongs to, but I need to find more clues.
But there must be many women in town who have the same earring. How are you going to find its owner?
True, there might be many, but there has to be a second one to it. Whomever has one earring missing, most likely it's the thief we're looking for.
Rapunzel started going into various shops in town. While doing so, she also took a closer look at the customers' ears. She was hoping to find the missing pair. Rapunzel kept looking for the second earring till evening, but her efforts were in vain. Her poor neighbor started crying once again.
Don't worry. We'll find your chickens and the thief too. We just need some more time.
It got dark then, so they went back home. That night, Rapunzel couldn't sleep, pondering how to solve this mystery. She reflected back on the shops she'd been in, thinking whether she'd skipped any. In the morning, as Rapunzel washed her face, she realized that she hadn't been to Ophelia's newly opened store. She put some clothes on, had breakfast quickly, and left home for Ophelia's shop. Evelia was surprised to see Rapunzel come into her shop so early in the morning.
What brings you here? Your neighbor's chickens don't lay eggs anymore?
As I told you yesterday, somebody stole my neighbor's chickens. Besides, hers are not the only ones. Somebody's been stealing chickens all across town. We couldn't find anything.
Oh dear! So that means everybody has to buy eggs and chickens from me.
Rapunzel noticed an earring in Evelia's ear. It was the exact same one she had found the day before. Discreetly, Rapunzel peeked at Evelia's other ear. She was missing a second earring.
What a beautiful earring.
Thank you. I spent so much money on them.
Them? But you only have one earring.
I only wear one. Yes, that's it. That's the new fashion trend. Wearing only one earring. Not that you'd actually know much about fashion.
Rapunzel left the shop without raising suspicion. She found it odd that Evelia had opened an egg shop just when there was a chicken thief on the loose. There must be a connection, Rapunzel thought. She immediately hid in the corner of the street and waited for Evelia to close her shop. As soon as it got dark, Evelia closed her shop and looked around to make sure no one was watching. Once she saw no one was on the street, she hurried, walking quickly. Rapunzel followed her. She moved stealthily in the shadows. Rapunzel got a chance to send a text message to the detective, explaining the situation. Evelia walked for a long time and arrived at some desolate place. Rapunzel was still on her tail. Evelia stood in front of an abandoned farmhouse and looked around. Then, she opened the door and disappeared inside. Rapunzel worked up the courage and went inside through the door. It was dark and quiet inside. Rapunzel was scared at first, but when she thought of her neighbor, she took control and followed the sound of Evelia's footsteps. A little later, Rapunzel heard clucking sounds. She realized she had been right to suspect Evelia. She looked through a small window and saw all the chickens reported missing. Evelia was feeding them and collecting their eggs.
Now I've got you.
Rapunzel stopped in her tracks. She would need proof to accuse Evelia, so she decided to film everything. Then, she decided it was time to catch Evelia red-handed.
So you're the chicken thief.
Evelia was startled to see Rapunzel, that her face turned all shades of white.
Where did you come from?
You've put these poor people through Ringer. You're going to pay for this.
Ha ha ha! Are you going to make me pay? You thought you could scare me with that detective look of yours? Don't make me laugh.
That's when the sirens of police cars were heard.
You damn little witch! I'll make you pay for this!
You cannot run, Avilia.
Avilia started to run away. Rapunzel knew that she had to think of something fast.
You can never catch me, Rapunzel!
Meanwhile, the detective and the other officers couldn't help themselves but laugh at Avilia.
I'll make you pay, Rapunzel! You're going to pay for this!
The police officers apprehended Avilia. Townspeople who arrived at the scene due to noise saw everything.
Rapunzel, you did a great job. You are a hero.
I only helped my neighbor.
We all have our chickens back thanks to you. I can send my grandchildren eggs again.
And what will happen to Avilia?
She's going to spend the night in custody. Tomorrow she'll be trialed fairly and punished accordingly.
Then I'm done with her.
Let's not think about this now. We should celebrate.
To celebrate, the townspeople made a huge omelette with the eggs they collected from chickens. The omelette was so huge that they even invited people from the neighboring towns. That night, Rapunzel slept soundly, knowing she had helped many people. Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Rapunzel. Who had long blonde hair and a beautiful smile. She lived in a small town, and everyone that met her grew fond of her. She was a hairdresser, and her salon was always crowded with clients as a result of her kindness and good manners. Every morning, as usual, she would leave home to go to her hair salon.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Good morning, Rapunzel.
What a cute little kid you are.
When she arrived at her shop, there was a queue outside. Where have you been, Rapunzel?
I'll be late for work. Come on, open your shop.
Okay, don't worry. I'll take care of everyone immediately.
However, there was another hair salon across Rapunzel's. The owner of this shop was a wicked, jealous woman named Avilia. She had had to move out of every town she'd been in because she was not a skilled hairdresser, and she didn't treat her clients nicely. She watched Rapunzel's every move with envious eyes. Avilia wanted to meet Rapunzel so she could befriend her. That way she could get to know Rapunzel better and discover her weaknesses. Avilia wanted to get rid of her so she could become the only hairdresser in town. She waited until Rapunzel's clients were gone.
Hello, neighbor.
Hello.
I've just moved in. I hope you're not upset that I opened a hair salon across from yours.
I'm so happy you did. There are so many clients in this town that we'll have enough for both of us. Besides, competition is good. It encourages people to do a better job.
I see. I'm a fierce competitor. You can be sure of that.
Awesome.
So, tell me, why did you become a hairdresser?
I've been to many places and made a lot of friends, but that's not enough for me. I want to make myself useful and help people. I enjoy enhancing people's beauty.
So, you're a friendly hairdresser.
Yes, I am. What about you? Why are you a hairdresser?
I only do it for the money. I don't care about anything else.
That's strange, but anyhow, I hope you find what you're looking for here. Good luck with your new hair salon, neighbor.
Days passed by. While Rapunzel went on with her life, Evelia was failing miserably at her job, and clients were leaving her shop unhappily. Evelia finally realized that she was not good at this job, so she plotted an evil plan.
I think I figured it out. I know what I'll do to you, Rapunzel.
In the evening, after Rapunzel had closed her shop, Evelia sneaked in Rapunzel's hair salon. She wanted to teach Rapunzel a lesson she wouldn't forget. She emptied the shampoo bottles and filled them with glue. She knew that her customers would never visit Rapunzel's salon once they saw they had sticky hair.
Nobody can compete with Evelia, you snooty blondie. Tomorrow will be the end of your dreams.
The next morning, Rapunzel happily opened her shop as usual. She had brought along her dog Hazelnut. Rapunzel immediately started cleaning up the place. While Rapunzel swept the floors and dusted the furniture, Hazelnut was prancing around excitedly. While Rapunzel was wiping the hair washing sink, Hazelnut knocked over one of the shampoo bottles near the sink. Poor Hazelnut got stuck in place because of the spilled glue. Rapunzel immediately helped Hazelnut get out of that sticky situation. She wondered who could have done such a terrible thing. If it hadn't been for poor Hazelnut, she would have poured the glue in her customer's hair. In the meantime, Evelia awaited anxiously to hear about Rapunzel's mishap. With a sinister smile on her face, she waited and waited.
Let's see what you'll do when your customer's hair gets all sticky.
Hours later, Evelia saw how Rapunzel's customers were leaving with a big smile on their face. The wicked grin on Evelia's lips began to fade away.
How could this be? How did this little blonde witch manage to get away from my trap?
Rapunzel was a very smart girl and had remembered Evelia's comment about being competitive, so she pretended to drop one of the bottles that Evelia had filled with glue and went back inside. Evelia wanted to understand what had gone wrong, so she washed her hair with the glue thinking it was shampoo. Her hands got stuck to her hair. She was furious when she realized she had been tricked.
You're going to pay for this, Rapunzel! I'll make you pay!
The next evening, Rapunzel locked up her shop happily satisfied, knowing she had done a great job. On her way home, a shadow prowled behind the trees. It was none other than Evelia.
I'm going to make you pay for this!
Evelia then went back to get a jerry can and poured gasoline around Rapunzel's shop. She lit a match and set the place ablaze. With a malevolent smile on her face, Ophelia stood in front of her own shop as she watched Rapunzel's salon burn down. But Ophelia hadn't realized that when she set Rapunzel's shop ablaze, her hair had accidentally caught fire. Flames engulfed Ophelia's shop too. 2 hair salons were on fire. It was too late to do anything. The next morning, when Rapunzel arrived to her salon, she only found ashes. She fell to her knees in anguish and started crying.
What am I going to do now? I spent so much time and money on my place.
The townspeople surrounded Rapunzel. They were all sad for her.
We have to help her.
What can we do?
I can give her a year's rent.
I can do all the woodwork.
And I can donate the supplies and equipment she needs.
I can paint inside the shop.
When Rapunzel heard all this, she was so happy that this time she cried tears of joy.
Come on then, let's get to work.
All the townspeople got to work and built a brand new hair salon for Rapunzel. It was even better than the former one.
I don't know how to thank you all.
You can repay us by continuing to be good. We don't need anything else.
And what happened to Ophelia? She was ashamed and couldn't bear to stay there, so once again she skipped town. Once upon a time there lived a girl named Rapunzel who had long blonde hair and a beautiful smile. She would open the shop which she worked early every morning, clean the place up, and bake fresh pastries and cakes. The pastry shop belonged to a woman named Ophelia. However, she was very rude and unkind. She would admonish Rapunzel any chance she got. Besides, this was the only pastry shop in town where she could work.
Good morning.
Can't you greet and work at the same time? If you can't complete those orders, you'll be in big trouble, Missy.
But I started working as soon as I opened the shop. Perhaps you're taking too many orders.
Would you look at that little brat? Are you complaining about your work? If those orders are not ready by evening, I'll cut half of your salary.
Rapunzel's eyes welled up with tears. Since her salary was already meager, she was disheartened.
If you could help me just a little, all orders can be ready on time.
Who? Me? With this hair and nails? Don't be ridiculous. If you can't handle this job, I can find someone who won't nag.
Rapunzel kept her head down and continued working. The only reason the townspeople would come to Ophelia's shop was because they loved Rapunzel. Rapunzel's biggest dream was to open her own pastry shop.
That's much better. Now I'm going out with my friends. When I get back, I expect everything to be ready.
Yes, ma'am.
Ophelia exited the shop with laughter. That day, Rapunzel did everything. She didn't even eat the whole day. She was so exhausted that she fell asleep in a chair. Rapunzel dreamed about her grandmother who lived far away. She had taught her how to bake cakes. She was so happy to see her.
My beautiful child, my kind, hard-working and talented child.
Grandma! Granny!
It's been a long time, hasn't it, dear?
Yes, it's been a long time. I work so hard and Evelia never gives me a day off. That's why I haven't visited you. I miss you so much.
Oh, my dear child, my heart breaks for you. But don't worry, everything's going to be okay.
This is just a dream, and when I wake up, you won't be here with me. I'll be lonely again.
Tomorrow, go to the neighboring town earliest. Look at the bulletin board in the town hall.
And then?
We'll speak later again.
Grandma kissed Rapunzel on the forehead and vanished into a pink cloud. As soon as she disappeared, Rapunzel opened her eyes to find an angry Evelia staring down at her.
You're sleeping in my shop? Am I paying you for this?
But I...
Quiet! Speak no more. I'm cutting half of your salary. I hope you learn to stay awake on the job.
Rapunzel tried to explain herself, but she couldn't. Something told her to follow her grandmother's advice. But how? She had to come up with an excuse so she could go to the next town. Rapunzel decided to go to the cafe where Evelia was. When Evelia saw Rapunzel, she was extremely surprised yet puzzled.
What are you doing here, bratty girl? Why aren't you at the shop?
Is this the poor soul you were talking about?
Don't even ask, dear. She's such a troublemaker. If my shop closes down one day, it'll be her fault. What do you want?
I've run out of ingredients. I need to get some.
Don't you see I'm with my friends right now? You dare disturb me for this?
I can't bake any of the orders.
Can't it wait until afternoon, silly?
I can buy them.
You can't even find the way home.
Then I'll just sit around.
Evelia hesitated and reconsidered. She didn't want to leave her friends. She worried that they would make fun of her.
All right then, but make sure you're back before noon. If I find out that you've been slacking, I'll cut the rest of your salary.
Don't worry, ma'am. I'll be back on time.
Rapunzel left immediately. Excitedly, she checked the bulletin board in front of the town hall, just like her grandmother had told her in the dream. She was surprised to only find one announcement on the board. It said, "Bake your best cake and win the grand prize."
So that's it.
Rapunzel took a picture of the announcement with her cell phone and returned to the pastry shop right away. While trying to finish the orders, Rapunzel pondered on how to enter the contest. The cake had to taste really good and be extraordinarily decorated. But how? That only meant going to bed late at night. But Rapunzel was determined because she wanted to win the grand prize so she could open her own pastry shop. Just then, Evelia rushed into the shop. She looked happy.
The time has come to show my skills. jealous?
Me? No, not at all. I hope you win. Good luck.
I know what you're thinking, brat. You'd also like to enter the contest, right? Only the best can participate.
Rapunzel wanted to put an end to Evelia's abuse. Entering the contest might be her only chance to do so. Rapunzel went home late at night and started designing her cake. She had decided to enter the contest under a pen name.
Yes! I've got it! Pink Cream Pastry Shop.
As soon as she fell asleep, her grandmother appeared before her.
Well done, my dear. There's nothing you can't accomplish if you work hard and believe in yourself.
But Grandma, Evelia is participating in the contest too.
You think she's better than you?
Isn't she?
Of course not. When did you last see her baking cakes?
Rapunzel then realized that ever since she started working for Evelia, she never once saw Evelia baking cakes.
You're right, Granny. I see what you mean now.
Well done, my beautiful princess. Now, put your creativity and talent together and see what comes out of it.
When Rapunzel woke up, she knew what to do now. Because her grandmother had always called her princess, Rapunzel decided to make a princess-themed cake. Next morning, she found Evelia designing the cake for the contest. Since Evelia hadn't baked cakes in a while, her skills were rusty. Things were not looking good for Evelia.
It's turning out beautifully. No one could bake something like this in a lifetime. I'd show you, but I'm afraid you could jinx it.
Once Evelia had left, Rapunzel gathered all her ingredients and went home. As soon as she got home, she started working on her cake. But if she wanted her dream to come true, she had to make an effort. Rapunzel finished her cake at sunrise. She stood from afar and took a last look at her cake. It was perfect. She took her cake and went to the neighboring town. She waited, hiding in a corner. Shortly after, Evelia arrived carrying her cake. She pushed the other contestants that were in line and made her way to the front of the line and checked in.
Make way! The champion has arrived!
And finally the contest began and the judges appeared near the long table. The judges stood next to each cake. Some cakes caused them to grimace and some cakes made them smile. A couple of hours later, the judges gathered to make a decision. Everybody was waiting anxiously. Each contestant thought the best cake was theirs and boasted about their baking skills. Except Rapunzel, who waited silently in a corner, afraid of being seen by Evelia. First, they announced the third place. Rapunzel's heart was pounding. Later, they announced the second place.
It's my turn now. They're going to say, Evelia's Fluffy Pastry Shop. Listen closely.
And the winner is...
Everybody held their breath. Evelia had a big smile on her face, confident she would win.
Pink Cream Pastry Shop and Cake House.
Evelia had been so sure of her victory. She completely ignored Rapunzel's pen name being announced. She had already started walking toward the stage, but when she got there, she heard people giggling and laughing. When she ran into Rapunzel on stage, she realized what had happened.
It's you! This is not possible! You've made a big mistake! I deserve the first place!
No! Rapunzel deserved this prize!
Evelia was enraged because she was humiliated.
You're fired! You hear me, Rapunzel?
No, Evelia, you're not firing me. I'm quitting.
As Evelia stormed off, Rapunzel shook hands with those who congratulated her. Rapunzel was welcomed in the town like a hero. She used part of the prize money to open her own pastry shop, and with the other half, she helped those in need. Finally, Rapunzel's dream had come true.